and then she had her phone trying to get the keys and stuff like that. And I was just trying to, I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go, let's just take a minute, step back and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand?
Oh, you got a mark right here. Oh, that's from
I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know, we just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
Well,
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are having a good day. Who has been sucked into the missing persons case of Gabby Petito? I don't generally cover missing persons cases, but I felt like this would just be an opportunity to share information that I have discovered on the internet and provide information for you guys to share if you have any tips and where you should call if you have any information about this. So there is a woman missing, and she was on a trip, and she was going to be a vlogger for sort of turning her life into that like van life world, and she was documenting a trip on her Instagram with her fiance. Her name is Gabby Petito. Her fiance is Brian Laundrie. They left out of New York in July, and they were going to be going on like a 4 or 5 month trip in a 2012 van, Ford van that they got ready, they did the build for, and they were going to go the West Coast and go to the various national parks and parks to go hiking. They documented all of this on her Instagram, and she even started a YouTube channel where they shared an 8-minute video on August 19th, sort of their journey, or the start of their journey to going into the van life. So Gabby Petito is 22, Brian Laundrie is 23. These two knew each other growing up, and she graduated from high school in New York. She graduated in 2017, and she had moved to Florida to live with Brian in 2019, and they became engaged. They had planned to get married, and then they postponed their wedding due to COVID, and they were living with Brian's parents in Florida before they left for their trip. So they were all on their trip, driving cross country, and they were seemingly having a wonderful time. And then on August 12th, there was an altercation between the two of them, and they got into some sort of like fight, a dispute in front of a co-op in Moab, Utah. They had been camping in Moab for several days at this point, and according to witnesses, they saw the two of them get into some sort of like physical dispute. He actually went into the van, locked her out of the van. She like climbed through the window because he didn't lock the driver's side window, and she got back in the van, and then they took off. They called police, witnesses called police, and when they finally pulled her over, she was crying uncontrollably. He had scratches on his face and on his neck and on his arm. The police have released the full body cam footage. This was on August 12th. After interviewing the two of them, she was explaining that she has OCD, and she was liked things a meticulous way, and it stressed him out, or her bad mood was stressing him out, and she was afraid that he was going to leave her in the middle of Moab, Utah, and just take off. So she acknowledged and admitted to getting physical with him, and he acknowledged pushing her off. And they determined after interviewing both of them that they were not enough evidence for a domestic violence situation. No one was injured. And so instead what they did was they decided to separate the two of them. They put Brian in a hotel, and they let her take off with the van. And that was it in terms of what happened with this case. The cops that wrote the police reports effectively just said that they looked at it more as a mental health break or a mental health situation where the two of them needed to separate to let their mental states sort of dissipate and calm down. So her parents and her family have been really sort of, while there's a lot of focus about this specific incident, her dad was interviewed today really talking about how that doesn't really matter in terms of where she is right now. He's focused on what happened when she went missing. So at some point in time between the 12th and August 30th, there was something that happened between the two of them, and she is nowhere to be seen. So they continued traveling. They spent quite a bit of time in Utah. They upload their first video onto their YouTube page on August 19th. And then on August 23rd and 24th, she has her last phone call, FaceTime with her mother, and tells them that she's going to Grand Teton, and that that's where they were planning to go to Grand Teton, which is in Wyoming. She had also had plans, apparently, to meet up with a friend for her birthday on August 29th, and she never reached out to her friend. So she and her friend had spoken on Snapchat, apparently on August 27th, and they were supposed to reconnect, and Gabby then never responded and sort of stood her up, which her friend said was completely inconsistent with how Gabby would be. So her parents don't hear from her for a number of days, and then on August 30th, her mom gets a random text message which says that she has no service in Yosemite, which is in California, not in Wyoming where they claimed that they were at. And since then, on September 1st, Brian goes back to Florida and he's there, and Gabby's nowhere to be seen. The parents are trying to get in touch with Gabby. They're getting nowhere. She's not responding to phone calls, to texts. They reach out to Brian's parents and to Brian after knowing that he's returned with her van, which was titled in her name, not in his, and wanting to know her whereabouts. Brian and his parents refuse to speak with them, and so they're forced on September 11th to file a missing persons report with the police. So when they filed the missing persons report, instead of helping authorities, Brian actually obtains a lawyer, and he refuses to cooperate, and he exercises his Fifth Amendment. So he and his lawyers decide that he's not going to make a statement. He's not going to speak to police. Instead, he's represented by an attorney, and he's not helping anyone find where Gabby is. There is someone who has claimed that they saw her. Tip was received that they spotted the van in Grand Teton on August 25th. There's other people that have come forward that say that they've seen them within that same vicinity within those same days. So she was in Wyoming, and for some reason, there was no more communication from Gabby after about August 27th. The last phone call to her family is the 25th. Her friend says she speaks to her on the 27th, and then he's home in Florida, not with her, by September 1st. The police and the FBI, in a joint effort, are trying to figure out where she is. Because he's not cooperating, they don't even know where to search or what to look, and they've said multiple times that they haven't put any resources yet into a search because they don't even really know where to search at this point, because Brian won't give them any information, and it's his lack of cooperation that's preventing them from any progress in this case. The family has been pleading with Brian to speak out, to help authorities, and it's not, her dad, her mom, everyone is doing everything they can to try to get Brian to share anything, and he won't talk. His parents won't respond either, to the extent that there are people protesting outside of Brian's house right now to get him to talk to authorities. So Brian's attorney releases a statement which says, many people are wondering why Mr. Laundrie would not make a statement to speak with law enforcement in the face of Ms. Patino's absence. Police often focus on the intimate partners in situations like this. And he says, the warning that any statements made will be used against you is true, regardless of whether my client had anything to do with Ms. Petito's disappearance. As such, on the advice of counsel, Mr. Laundrie is not speaking on this matter. The police have labeled him a person of interest. So even though he's remaining silent, it doesn't matter. Like, he still is the person of interest because he was the last person seen with her. So when he comes back, the car is with him, not with her, or the van's with her. The van has been seized and processed by the FBI, and they're currently trying to narrow down where she is. Her dad is currently in Wyoming at her last known whereabouts in Grand Teton. There has been so much uproar all over social media, people having and doing TikToks and leaving clips and all these tips coming out. So with Brian not cooperating and no one knowing where she is, the internet is going wild trying to help find Gabby. There are people that were in the park during the time that Gabby and Brian were there, and some people that have claimed to run into him, and there has been some discussion about, is he involved in a double homicide that occurred in Moab, Utah around the same time that they were in Moab. There was a newlywed couple that was camping and had been living sort of the same type of van life that was working at the co-op where they had gotten into that altercation. Right now, there's no direct connection between these two crimes, but the police have said that they're exploring any connection to this at all because the city is very small and these types of cases are very rare. So we don't really know what happened. She's gone. Brian won't speak to anyone, and the FBI is looking for any tips that they have. And so you can contact the tip line. You can call the tip line, which is 1-800-CALL-FBI or 1-800-225-5324. Or you can actually report a tip online at fbi.gov/tips. She is 5 foot. Gabby Petito is 22 years old. She's 5'5". She has blonde hair, blue eyes. She has tattoos that say "Let It Be" on her right arm and a tattoo of a triangle with flowers on her left arm. If you have any information about Gabby and her whereabouts, contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. As this story develops, I will certainly get more in depth, but this is sort of a very high level about Gabby and this missing persons case. In the case of Brian Laundrie, he's starting to look more and more suspicious, as are his parents, for not providing any details to the authorities, with many experts saying that typically you wouldn't cooperate in a case like this if you were withholding evidence or had guilt of some sort. In this case, maybe he doesn't want to go on record and have statements made and then he's changing statements. But if you're the person that holds the keys and holds the truth of where this person is and everyone's looking for that person and you're not helping, you're actually harming this process. You are using resources, you are using taxpayers' money, you are putting the onus on everyone else to do everything else. He's not under any obligation to help, but he's also not helping, and he's actually wasting money where he could provide information and he's not helping. That's not someone who loves someone, and so obviously rumors and theories are going all over social media with every day that she's gone, it looking more and more bleak for her returning safely. So right now, if you have any information about that, contact the FBI and I'll let you guys know more as I learn more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Bye guys.